everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's Tournament 2022 Game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 13. So, right off the bat, jumping into things, we have Alteration 2. Which is some decent-ish stuff. We can take a look at that real quick, actually. Alt 2 gets us some very interesting things like Stone Skin, pretty simple and useful for us. Earth Meld can be pretty useful for us as well, especially against things like Cavalry or things. Elves. Cheat Fate can be pretty useful, etc, etc. Mostly this is a stepping stone towards Alteration 3, which is where we were gonna go, but we are deviating from Alteration 3 and heading into Enchantment instead, I think. Trying to make the run for things like Horde of Skeletons, and potentially higher if we're unaccosted. So, we'll see how that goes. Next up, we have some battles. We lost a unit on the march from Naranthian to Omia. First up, we had a little ping in the throne. So this is pretty simple. Just ping in to see what's here, and this is this is kind of what we expected when we saw the reports there. We've got a bunch of fire snakes, we've got some heavy cav, we've got a bunch of claymen, some fire drakes, miscellaneous other units, and the big one, the important one, is this Netter of Kings back here, which has high fire, water, and very high astral, which is bad. Also has a golden arbalest, which is also relatively bad, because this thing has actually really high strength. So this golden arbalest, which is basically never going to miss and has very high range, can slap the shit out of somebody. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, this is dangerous, but a lot of these things can be overcome, right? Fire resistance and decent protection can be overcome with these. But what this guy is casting, this Netter of Kings is casting right now, is the big problem, right? Enslaved Mind, right off the bat, we know this guy wants to cast it and is going to cast it successfully. So that means, right, we need to deal with high fire, right, damage, high actual damage from lance charges, probably the capability of summoning things like fire elementals and water elementals, oof, right, and we have to factor in the concept of enslaved minds and things like that. That's a lot, right? That is a lot to bundle into one throne. I still think this throne is probably less concerning than like the Watcher throne, but it's not a simple just send one guy in and we're easy peasy. And it's also relatively dangerous for us to just send in a big block, right? Although we do have fire resistance, so we should be mostly okay. The bigger issue is this Netter of Kings could snipe commanders, so we have to make sure whatever we send in is ready to either have a commander sniped or has some sort of protection against that. So, interesting stuff, though. Next up, we have Battle in Omia. And this is a little bundle of Condors and Condor Warriors going up against not too much, right? A couple of knights. This is relatively threatening in the first couple turns, but now that we're at, turn 13, this is less of a concern. We should go up and down pretty okay. Actually, that's dangerous. Uh-oh. Oof. That was very close to actually making it to our Inca there, but looks like the drop went pretty well for us. Overall, we lost 2 Hatan Runa there. Not too bad. We also attacked in Golm, and this is a large force of Hatan Runa and then a mix of Alkak and Condor Warriors with a couple of Supaya. This is up against some Cynocephalian warriors and hunters. These guys are a little bit dangerous, right? They can be a bit of a problem because they have this Berserker. So Berserker 2 will kick them up to doing 18 damage and keep them around. They also have a lot of HP, so even though they don't have a lot of protection, they have a lot of HP, which can help them survive the drop. So let's see how this goes. Oof, and there's a fair amount of them. That was not, well, I say there was a fair amount of them, but we could have enveloped them. That was a bad drop. That was a bad drop on both sections. We did not envelop them at all, but we did route them pretty much on the charge, so that's good. Nice. Okay. Fair amount of losses, though. 14 on the Alkak Runa, 1 on the Condor Warriors, 1 Supaya getting lost as well. That's pretty surprising, truth be told. So, kind of unfavorable exchange there, but a win. So, battles for the turn. We have, versus Indies, 2 wins and 1 loss. That loss was a ping, so is what it is. Not too bad for us there. Next up, we have some unexpected events. We have been doing relatively well on events. Let's see if our luck continues. An adventurer returning from ruins deep in the mountains has returned insane, carrying a magical lantern that the Lord of the Land immediately sent to the treasury. Lightless lantern, nice. Plus 12 research, great. And a peddler was peddling his wares in the province when one of your agents discovered a few magic gems of various types among his glass pearls and buttons. They were swiftly and forcefully bought at the price Odysseus, guardian of the Tablets of Destiny, intended for 1 gold. Gotcha. Yeah, I think what we're gonna see up here is that's a pretty decent turn. Nothing crazy, but pretty decent. Gold -1, whatever. Air +2, water +1, earth +2, astral +1, death +1, and nature +2. And then we got a lightless lantern, so that's a pretty nice boon to have. Okay, cool. Other than that, we're patrolling some troops out in Bara, and that is pretty much that. So, we have sealed up the majority of our territory. We have 1 more province to take. That will take us up to 16 provinces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Which isn't the greatest, but honestly isn't the worst. It was a little slow to get here, but that is survivable. What's less survivable is the fact that, we do not have scales, so we are not going to grow. So we absolutely have to be looking for our first war. I was honestly expecting that our first war was going to have found us by now, but, it is what it is. So, what are we doing this turn? For a movement scenario, we're mostly just moving around site searching still, right? So, moving into... where was it? Oh, we're site searching up in Amul, right? And we're site searching over in Cloudbreakers. We're converging forces on Mammoth Grove, both the forces from Golm and from Omia, as well as an additional Apu going over there, just for shits and giggles, right? So we got all that. We don't probably require all of these forces here, but the more forces we have drop on these Bone Tribe, probably the fewer losses we're going to have. And there wasn't anything else that I wanted to do this turn with these forces, so we're going to combine. We're going to combine on Mammoth Grove and go from there. Should be a pretty easy win. And then it's a matter of kind of like looking to other options. One of the things we want to do is look towards Underhome. I'm starting to reach out feelers and to see if we can maybe get some Ring of Water Breathing, I think is what it's called. I can just check here. Oh no, it's construction 2 that you would need it. So, ring of water breathing, right, or whatever it's called, to allow us to go into Underhome. So I'm kind of asking around, seeing if we can find some things there. And yeah, that is pretty much it for movement. Truth be told, who are we moving over here? We're moving. Oh, we're just moving Appus around for positioning and things like that. Next up, reportable thing. We are building a lab in the Mighty Pillars. So, boom. We talked about infrastructure a while back, about how I was not intending on putting a lot into infrastructure. I was intending on putting every ounce I could into just recruitment. And when we couldn't get more recruitment going, then we would start putting things into infrastructure. That time has basically started to happen, right? The Palisades will be up in 2 months here. Gonna go ahead and put a lab. Might put a temple immediately next turn. I'm not super concerned about pressing our scales here very much, but we do need a temple to be able to recruit most things like Aklas or Hurin priests and things like that. So probably likely that we're gonna go that route. We'll see how that goes. General recruitment across the board. We are doing some mostly normal stuff with a few things added. So, recruitment. 1 scout, 1 Sino chieftain, 4 Condor warriors, 7 Aukak spearmen, 3 heavy infantry, 9 Cynocephalian hunters, and 5 Jaguar slingers. So let's talk about that, because there's some potentially unexpected things in there. And this is actually going to go in conjunction with what we're doing with our research, right? So we're going up enchantment. Enchantment is a very good path for us, a very good research direction for us. It's going to get us a number of different things, most of those being the typical type things that we would think of. Specifically, big ones along the way are Strength of Giants, right? That's very big for us. Giving our sacreds more strength, or anything more strength really, but specifically our sacreds is a very big deal. But enchantment 4, right? So the other thing is getting to enchantment 5 is Horde of Skeletons, also very big for us. Enchantment 4 is that other thing that we were kind of looking at, and that is for potentially flaming arrows, right? So flaming arrows is an opportunity for us to potentially surprise someone. This is going to be potentially very useful against, like, elves, for one. Potentially useful against Agartha, perhaps. Less useful against Ashdod, because their giants have, built-in fire resistance, etc. So that is less of a useful thing. And it's not really something that we can guarantee is going to be useful to us, period, but it is something that might be able to be useful, and it's on a path that we want to walk anyways, right? Or it's a research path that we want to research regardless, right? We definitely want things like Horde of Skeletons and later on Rigor Mortis to be options that we have for ourselves. So what a lot of the recruitment, the little bits of recruitment we have going on is designed to kind of like assist us in that vein, right? The Condors and the Aukak Runa continue to be just the direction that I think we need to go. Heavy infantry, again, just kind of supplementing that ability to defend our front lines. But the things like the Jaguar Tribe Slingers and even the Cynocephalian Hunters, right? These are short bows and slings that are relatively useful for the flaming arrows concept. I don't know that we are going to push this really, really hard, right? We might not. This might be a single turn of recruitment where we're like, okay, well, we decided not to do this. It really depends on what happens over the course of the next several turns, right? If we suddenly see a massive Agarthan army on our border, right, then that'll be a deal. Oh, by the way, we're also pinging this province here this turn, just to kind of like see what's going on. If we see a massive Agarthan army on our border, maybe that's a thing. If we get elfed next turn, maybe that's actually a useful path for us to go. If we see a massive Ashdod army on our border, probably not something that we're going to go for, right? That being said, the hunters are pretty useful for us, even, or the warriors, right, are pretty useful for us even if we're not concerned about flaming arrows, because they can be relatively useful, again, as those kind of line holders. They take buffs fairly well, if you can get the buffs set up in the right locations, because they're undisciplined. But they are berserkers, and they can hit relatively hard after they berserk, or after they berserk and you get Strength of Giants on them. They have relatively high HP pools, etc. So, they're just another complement to what we're already producing. You might have noticed in the recruitment section, I didn't say anything about Supayas. I had been previously. That's because after having done the year 1 video, I realized I kind of want to categorize things in a slightly different way, right? So, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to have a special recruits section, right? And this is going to be where I put things like Haten Runa and Supaya, but also other things, right? Other site-specific units that we obtain. Just basically anything that's not regular recruitment or gem income recruitment, like ritual recruitment, right? So this is just going to be a special recruits section. So, in special recruits, we have 2 Supayas this turn, 3 wolves, and 33 Haten Runa. So, we got that werewolf. We're just going to be recruiting wolves, summoning allies there. For site searching, no big deal. And yeah, that should be pretty good. And the last thing to really talk about here this turn, aside from just general concept, is that I did reach out to Yis. I kind of talked about this on the year 1 video, I believe. And we have established a NAP, just a simple NAP 3. I don't think that really particularly matters. They're very busy with underwater stuff. I don't think they have, any interest in coming after us. But it is nice to have one of the 3 borders kind of secured. That being said, right, in discussions with Van, they were very non-committal to a nap, right? Even almost kind of like accusatory on the concept of like, why are you trying to nap me now? It's late, right? Like, people don't nap at like 13 turns into the game, and I'm like, okay, like I don't have any specific agenda. I'm just trying to not get gone. But I do understand. Either Vanheim is... They assured me that they were not about to elf me. I don't know if I believe that or not. It's entirely possible that they're telling the truth. But, there's nothing I can really do about it at this current point in time. The countermeasures that I have for something like that are basically a hole up in a fort, honestly. Or, have pretty big stacks that I hit various different provinces for. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll I was absolutely expecting that the drop, right, the attacks, the get Nazca out of my game scenario was going to happen a little earlier than this, honestly. Especially after I found out that I was bordering elves and bordering Ashdod, right? I definitely thought with bordering Vanheim and bordering Ashdod that I was going to get knifed really early on. Because I figured they'd be like, look, they can't do anything to us. Send in 3 squads of 5 Vanheers on guard commander, and you've taken out the majority of their entire army in like 2 fights, right? So, I mean, Ashdod, with the bless that they have, there's potentially less concern there, but I don't know. I still think that they have a pretty strong hand to play against me very early. So that's an interesting situation. So now I'm kind of just trying to figure out what I can do since I have not been attacked early on. Agartha is not looking especially big or threatening. Ulm has been pretty responsive to communication. So that's a potential direction that I can go, right? Like, potentially allying with Ulm to take out Agartha, or just attack Agartha, period, and try to Nova them as much as I can. So that is on the potential horizon. We'll see how that goes. And that's pretty much it. Kind of a simple turn, truth be told. We'll see if the next couple turns get more spicy, more exciting, or if all the bluster about gotta get Nazca out of here at the beginning was just that. But yeah, we'll see. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.